The mental weight of social media and the need to be thin. I love this topic.
Yeah, this one's
so important.
Very timely, too. What's our
yes,
right now.
I try to make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, so the biggest thing about this is just the overall weight of social media, especially today.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's bigger than it's ever been. But,
right. It's used for everything.
Exactly. And it's always, I feel like the number one thing that always comes out of social media is immediately like comparison. Just because you got to think, what was the trigger almost to make someone say, I want to lose weight, or I want to get a little healthier, or I want to get a little fit, or I want to be a little bigger? It was probably because they saw somebody on social media, you know?
Yes,
so,
exactly. Yeah.
Or you saw somebody in a movie that you like or something like that. But something was the catalyst
all
behind
the feeds
why.
are full of beach bodies right now,
Yep.
bikini pictures, vacations, everything, you know, that you want to look a certain way, or you feel like you're missing out on something, or you actually told me recently, you were like, I'm on my feed, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and all you saw were people just doing all different things.
Yeah, and that wasn't even for fitness. That was just like because.
I'm just saying in general, you know?
Oh, yeah, no,
because it's even in need of missing out on what's going on in the world. And meanwhile, they're only showing you highlights.
That's very true.
If they're even
That's
real.
very true. They could have been waiting online for like 2 hours. But you just see them when they're in the place. But the funny thing is, it's not even always in relation to fitness or lifestyle or eating habits. It's if you are trying to just be better at anything and you're trying to say to yourself, you know, I'm going to be more disciplined today and go to bed a little earlier, you'll be in bed at 8:45 scrolling on your phone, and you'll see everybody and their mom that you know is at the bar or something. And it's like, okay, am I the one doing something wrong, or is everybody else doing something wrong? Like, so it's always everybody has that weight on them from just looking at it because
the pressure.
It's not in the bad form that everybody knows this word, but it is very toxic. Social media in general is just a toxic area.
Yeah.
The way it can manipulate your mind and your brain to think certain ways is just...
Which is what a lot of people use it for, you know?
People make money off doing it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know, listen, it can be a very good tool for advertising.
Yeah.
But you have so many, I guess, influences now that people use it. I know we get offers all the time to...
Partner,
and collaborate, but... Especially even with other products, because they want them in our store or they want us to talk about it. But a lot of them, I'm like, no, that's terrible.
No,
I wouldn't offer that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, even unless, again, I'm bringing up Ozempic, but even with that, when they offered me to give the shot out, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I know the money that can be made. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to. But that's all over the internet. I mean, that's all over the social media now.
Yeah.
You can't even go past it without somebody offering the shot.
It's crazy, too, because you'll see, I've seen probably 10 commercials in the past week. Just
on
whether
Instagram.
It be on Instagram, on YouTube, or like just watching TV at home. It's crazy. And it's always funny because they always, like you said, it's the tools of advertising, making it look or appear a certain way. You know, everybody in that commercial is so happy, and everybody in that commercial is,
I know,
you know, so positive and everything. But meanwhile, everybody that we see personally that's on it is regretting it.
Yeah, and they feel terrible all the time.
They feel terrible, and
not to mention,
you can rest assured, nobody in that commercial is actually on it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's always,
and that's the thing. You know, not to mention, like again, no one even knows what the future holds of that.
Nobody knows.
What the consequences.
That's why they make the fine print on the commercial so tiny at the bottom.
I say it all the time.
Disclaimer.
You know, the one thing I think people don't realize, when they know that it came out that it causes thyroid cancer, they admitted that. You know why? Because it was the first thing that they saw that came about. You know, when they do the examples, I mean the trials for people, they saw, okay, it immediately gives you thyroid cancer. Yep. But what is it? What about what it's going to give you in 5 years?
Yeah.
Now, I know there's actually a shot. What's it called? There's a different shot that was for, I forget the name of it. But anyway, they found out 5 years later that it causes brain tumors. Wow. Now, it's not Ozempic. It's not any of those. It's for, I can't think of the name of it. It's for something else. But it took them 5 years to find out. That's my point. So, like, you really you can't just live for today. As easy and fun as that is to say, oh, I'm going to get instant results today, I'm going to live for today. Yep. You do have to think about your future.
Oh,
you know?
Absolutely. And
I think that's so important.
No, I totally agree.
But to get back on topic, I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
So we talk about like body shaming, especially with Instagram, Facebook, all social media, you know. how everyone right now, they're showing less clothes, more skin. It's summer.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you feel that men feel about it? Is it as strong for men as it is for women? Like, I know women, it's hard, especially when everything's filtered. Literally, you don't even know what's real when you're looking at it.
Yeah. So what do you mean in the sense of what?
Do you feel that,
what feels the same for men?
Do you feel that men have that body shame as well?
Well, tell me, what do women feel?
Well, I think, women are insecure. They see that and
so
they want to look at that.
They'll see like another woman on the beach and there'll be something like that, or Love Island, for instance. Like you see Love Island and all the models on there and stuff, and it's these girls constantly compare themselves to them.
Right.
Like that.
100%. The younger girls probably, where there's different age groups, but I think women, when they see people on Instagram, it's something like that is like mentally where they'll be like, I got to go on Ozempic because I got to look like that.
Oh, it's absolutely the same for men. It's just more quiet, I feel. Or
that's my
mainly,
point. Do they just not talk about it?
They just don't talk about it, but also they'll just work like more in silence, I feel like, rather than...
Or hide.
Exactly. You'll just go into hiding or go dark or something. But the crazy thing is it affects them the same, but again, you just won't hear about it because, a way for somebody to react to like seeing something like that on Instagram or something is probably just, oh, well, I'll post something of myself. Because the problem that I have with social media personally, when I think about social media, this is to me the worst thing, is the reinforcement that people get from almost like a pity post, I feel. So like somebody will go on Instagram and post something because they're feeling insecure. They'll do it for the sole reason of getting all of those comments, like all those comments from close friends, from distance friends, whatever. And all the comments will say, oh, you look beautiful, like, oh, slay, queen, oh my God, like you look amazing, stuff like that. But what is that really doing for your mental, other than just giving you a falsehood of what you're really feeling? Because you're going to read those and feel some sort of stimulation for like 2 seconds, and then you're going to go back to feeling miserable again.
Right.
So it's, of course, your friends are just trying to be friends, but
half of them, they don't even know them.
What do you even do?
They're really not friends. They're just
exactly.
commenters.
You're just kind of reinforcing this, again, this falsehood that just to make yourself feel better in the moment. But the difference with guys is because if you look at a girl's Instagram post, you'll see probably 80 comments because it's all of her girlfriends commenting how great they look. If you look at a guy's Instagram post, there's like almost no comments because the guy is not going to be like, bro, you look beautiful. Like it's not going to happen. So the thing with guys is,
say it.
Yeah, the thing with guys is, okay, do I want to take this leap and like post this? Because like I don't even know if I look good, and I'm not going to hear from anybody if I look good or not.
Right.
So
you're
it's
gonna
like
have to guess.
It's almost
or you're
more
gonna have to
so.
Use your own confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's you, my mom, that texts me, and you're like, "Hey, honey, like you look great on Instagram." Like I'm like, "Thanks," but like, it's kind of that.
I know I'm top on you and Joey.
You know
and
what I mean? It's like,
posts.
yeah, it's like you know what I mean. Like for girls, it's almost like you get that instant reaction, but for guys, it's different in the sense that. I would say a lot of guys don't get feedback like that.
Right.
So it's
that makes
I would
it
almost
harder.
make it harder. Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, even the girls, do you really believe what you're reading? I don't know.
Exactly. I would almost rather have none than have the false.
Right. Yeah. But my philosophy always: don't bring negative attention to yourself.
Yeah. True.
Because right there, when you do that, and I say it all the time, but it's true. Like, people walk in, they'll be like, but my wrinkles. I'm like, well, now I'm looking at them because you just pointed them out.
Yeah.
But, like, I wasn't even, you walked in, you looked beautiful,
Or somebody's like, I have big ears. And I'm like, didn't even notice. I'm like, now I do.
Now you can't stop looking at them.
Now I do.
It's when you bring negative attention to yourself, it's what everyone's going to look at.
Yep.
It's not a good thing.
It's the world, though, that we live in. It's like if you bring negative attention to yourself, people are going to keep looking at it. But if you bring positive attention to yourself, then you're just a bragger.
I know. You don't
There's
really
no
have.
in-between.
There's no in between.
There's no in between.
Yeah. So you just use the filter instead and be done.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, though. Just because one of the best dynamics about us doing this together is, the generation difference. So when you look at, like, social media and stuff and, like, you have clients all ages.
Right.
Like clients that are younger than me, older than me, older than you. Mm-hmm. When you hear about, like, people say, like, my age group, like, do you ever look at them like they got 6 heads and say, like, why do you even care about that? But then at the same time, how do you kind of relate to it in the sense of, like, you have Instagram and stuff, but do you ever think about what is your
philosophy
as a parent, as a woman, as just an outside spectator? What is your philosophy kind of, or, not philosophy, but what's your opinion on people being so fed up with all this stuff? Like, do you think it's silly? Do you think it's
fed up with what?
I mean, when you see everybody wanting to look like these models, that
I think
that
it's
beauty,
crazy.
like it's crazy because that beauty, like people need to understand, it's unattainable.
Yep.
And like you need to be okay with that.
And you have
so
to
I'm
be
saying
okay
like
with that.
someone like me obviously is living through it because I grew up with social media.
Right.
But like someone like you who just came about, only a few years ago, what's your opinion on it? Do you think it's silly? Do you think it's
I think it's really, really tough for your age group.
Yeah.
I think that everyone's living through like a fake world, which makes it so difficult for people to meet people, but also to even people that are in relationships, like just even to feel that some sense of confidence, because you really have to, it has to come from within. So to answer your question before, when I have a client that's your age or even younger that comes in my office, I don't necessarily ever look at it like, oh, like she just wants to be a certain number. My whole thing, I look at it, go, she wants to feel better about herself. And that's really important because no matter what age you are, you always want to feel your best. I really believe that. That's so important. That's what really lifts your confidence. When you can wake up in the morning and put your clothes on and feel good, And if that comes from diet and exercise, which I preach both, is so important because that's what's really going to give you the confidence. Now, you can do all the right things and then go on Instagram and see something and be like, oh, man, I'm trying so hard and that person looks amazing. But like you said, it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not real. And they're only showing you a moment. Like a lot of times, these people that you're seeing and you're following and you're watching, you're not looking at the rest of their life. You're only looking at what they want to show you.
Yeah.
What they want to be seen.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of your age group especially forgets that because they don't know any different. We know from the time before social media. So we know basically, to say it in a simple way, is like what real life is. And that's what everyone's living.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, with social media, people are living through social media. And that's why even you see, I think even conversations between your age group is less. Everything's just different. It's not, I don't think it's healthy. I do love social media. I think it can be used in such a great way, but I think people are abusing it, and I think that it's really hurting like a lot of the generations because you're not seeing something that's real. Everyone's, look at it this way. Like, how many times have you met someone and they look completely different in person?
So many times.
Yeah, because they're living through a filter.
Yeah.
But then you still got to walk out in the world.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yeah.
You don't look like that person?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah. Like, for instance, that's actually a good point. It was funny because a lot of the clients are from the area, like, the North Shore, and I'm sure a lot of people know where the gyms are up there that are hot. It's funny because I follow like this social media gym influencer guy, and all of his posts, he looks like gigantic and like jacked out of his mind. And it was funny because I
bet you were bigger
saw
than him
in person at the gym one time, and it was the first time I've ever seen him. And I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey man, how are you? Like, nice to meet you." And I couldn't believe it because for the first time in my life, that insecure voice in my head shut off, and I was thinking in the back of my head, I'm bigger than this guy.
Right?
Like,
you would have never known
I was
it
like
on.
probably 4 inches taller than him, and the width of my body was like 2 of him.
Wow.
And I was thinking in my head, I'm bigger than this guy right now. But then after I walked away from him, I pulled up his Instagram immediately, and I looked at it, looked back at him, and I was like, this is insane.
It's two different people.
This is insane. Like, it's crazy because, like, no shame to him. He looks great in person. Like, my body fat
he just
will never
doesn't
be
look
that
like-
low.
yeah.
But I'm just saying, with, like Joey's industry, like the wrestling, they put those cameras a certain height for a reason.
Right.
The biggest stars in, the WWE or wrestling or something, people wouldn't even know that they're 5'8".
Right, yeah.
But they appear larger than life. Just like this guy I saw on social media. He appears larger than life. And then I ran into him, and I was like, you are a shrimp. And I was like, I am literally taller than you. And like,
well, you're taller
I'm
than a lot of
literally
people.
bigger than you. And I'm like, and I am looking at this guy thinking, like, I want to look like him so bad.
Right.
But it's like, I'm not body shaming anybody either. I'm just saying, like.
And my whole thing is like, listen, I guess in his defense,
yeah.
Like you said, he still looks good in person. He
Still
just
looks
doesn't
great.
look larger
Yeah.
than life like he
He's
does
just
on
not that-
Instagram.
It was almost, and this is nothing against him or his appearance, it was just underwhelming almost. Because I was picturing if I ever met this guy, I would be like looking up at the ceiling, like at this godlike figure.
I guess he's doing a good job with his Instagram.
I know. I was like, can you edit some of my photos? But like, the thing is, the thing is, I was thinking, do you remember that whole trend? It's way back, but like 2012, like around there, it was like the hashtag no filter. Mm-hmm. Like, why do you even write that?
They all use a filter.
No, I'm saying, like, why do you even write that though? Like, you have to let people know, like, I'm just naturally this beautiful.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You're like, everyone's doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You know, it's, if you have to write no filter, I want to write in the comments, let me go find who asked. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm, like, nobody cares. like, everybody's still going to say, you look great, you know?
Right,
Unless it's an orange filtered photo, nobody's going to know that there's a filter. Nobody's going to be thinking that there was a filter.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like,
especially today. Well, I'll tell you this. One thing that this is a really good topic. It's the same thing, but opposite. So, you know Christy Brinkley? No. She was Billy Joel's first wife.
Okay.
So they're,
yes.
She's old. Yes. She's older. She's like, I guess, I think she just turned, I'm going to say 65, but I think she's 70.
Let me pull it up.
I can't remember, but I don't want to age her because she looks amazing. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. And I love her. She's like one of my favorite people. But
what'd you say she turned?
I thought 70.
I see here 1954.
I don't know, but she's between 65 and 70.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she always looks gorgeous, but the thing is, so like everyone's always commenting this and that. So she had a she posted a while ago of her, I think she was in the car with her son and they were doing a video, and it looked like she didn't do like a filter or anything. Mm-hmm. I guess most of the time they always do. I'm not really sure, but I'm just going to guess after I saw the picture. But you would not believe how many people had such bad comments on how old she looked. Because she didn't use the filter. And I'm 71. Like, first of all, she's 71.
Yeah.
So I'm like, first of all, she looks gorgeous for her age. But second, everyone says like, oh, don't use filters, this and that. But then when she doesn't use a filter, it was all bad comments. And my point is, I think a lot of people like to see fake.
Yeah.
I think that they really thrive off of that fake beauty, that maybe it's something that they could possibly have, or it's just what they want to look at.
Yeah.
They don't want to look at something that they don't feel is like perfectly.
Well, you know what it is too? It's almost this sense of, and I'm going to go way off here, but like I'm saying, just follow, you know, it's almost this sense of delusion that people get because they get so attached to that character that they see on social media. There are social media influencers that have followers that have never met them, never talked to them, don't know their full story, but they're in love with the person because they see them so much.
Right.
So it's almost like this level of delusion that comes about where they almost feel betrayed because they see them without that filter for the first time, and they're like, you've been lying to me this whole time. And that's why it's so dangerous, because you have people that have cult-like followings that are not even Christy Brinkley. They are Taylor Swift. People of that magnitude. Imagine Taylor was like, I'm waking up and I was like, oh, no filter. And people are like going to send her threats now because they're like, you're not who I thought you were. You know?
Right.
That's the dangers that you're talking about when you post all this stuff, to make it look like you have some sort of life and look a certain way.
You don't. And you have all these people who believe that. Yeah. It's very true.
And you're constantly living with like that pressure. Even for the other person, like the other party, not just the spectator, but the actual person, like the influencer.
It's so hard
so
on
much
them.
pressure
they
because
can't
you're
go
like,
out and be like, they know everyone's looking at them. That's
you know
not
everyone's
them.
looking at you, and also you're thinking in your head, oh my God, I hope I look like my pictures.
Yeah. Well, that guy that you met, you probably walked away and was like, damn, he's so much bigger than me. You know, but like that's it. I'm not joking too. Yeah. That's the thing. Like when you live that life, and he lives that life, and
it almost tells you when you're walking away, like, wow, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like this influencing thing.
Well, that's the thing. Or, you know, you just feel like it's more fake than you realize, you know. And honestly, it would be, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but it's true. Like, it would be like me walking out of my office and being like 40 pounds heavy.
Yeah.
Heavier than I am. And people being like, wait a second. You don't look like, you know, and I would be like, I would never leave my office. I mean, I'll leave my office now only because I'm always so busy. But I do walk out. I do see the clients.
No, it's true.
But I'm just saying it's a lot of pressure to live that fake life, too. That's my point.
Agree.
You know, it's like you said, is pressure on the person doing it, not even just the spectator.
Yeah. And
right.
the truth is that social media, like you said, could be a positive tool. Like, obviously, it works for business. It works for people.
I love it, but
people have
the right
jobs
way,
now, and people are self-employed almost, too, because they have social media and they use it the right way. But also, the key is social media can be a trap if you don't use it right. And you have to start believing that your body isn't enough, that your grind isn't fast enough. You have to start believing that you are enough.
You are enough, yeah.
You are enough, but when I say you aren't enough, it's because you're comparing it to social media.
Right.
Which is a
falsehood. You have to stop believing
You have to stop believing that you're not enough because you're looking at social media every day. If you look at social media and say, why don't I look like this person? I almost want to say, like, shame on you.
Yeah.
Because if you have to go to the point where you are looking at somebody else through a phone screen that has a totally different life than you, and you're comparing to them, like, it's almost...
It's 100%. And I'll tell you a quick little story to just even, strengthen what you're saying now. One client that I have recently just came in, and she is beautiful. She looks beautiful. She's thin. She's got a great family. But all of her friends, everyone she knows, or she believes everyone she knows, it's not everyone, but it just always feels that way when you're looking at social media. And a lot of them are on Ozempic, and they're so ridiculously thin from it that she keeps saying, like, I should go on it because everyone else is on it. And, like, look how thin they are. But I'm like, but you look amazing. And if that wasn't out right now, you would be perfectly happy with where you are.
Yeah.
But because so many people are actually too thin and don't even look good, and she'll even say, like, they don't even look good, but then why do you want to be that?
Yeah.
Because it's just, like you said, it's on there. And you think that because it's on there, it's that pressure to be something that you're not even sure you want to be.
Yep.
Not to mention the pressure of having to be that perfect all the time. Like,
oh my God.
I mean, really, even with the program, that's what the whole point of the cheat is, or that's what the whole point of summer is. And we say, be mindful, but enjoy, but, make good days good, make bad days okay. Or it's important because no one can live every day perfect. You're going to drive yourself crazy.
Yep.
And social media can do that. So you really have to be careful.
Yep. Don't put attention to your negatives. Don't, you don't have any negatives, but don't point attention to what you think are your negatives.
We all have negatives. I have so many. I just never talk about
them. And I talk about all of them to you. So you know all my negatives. Yeah.
That's so funny.
But,
well, I hope this helps. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Yep. And please remember, always, if you have any suggestions or any topics that you want to hear us talk about or you want us to give you more information on, you can always DM us. Our Instagram is Innovation Weight Loss. Or please remember to always stop in the store, Innovation 8025 Jericho Turnpike, Woodbury, New York, or visit our website, innovationhealthymarket.com. Or you can call the store at 516-802-5055. We're open 7 days a week. We're always there to help you with your shopping, orders, weight loss needs. When you come in, ask for me, Jake. I'll be happy to show you around the store. Or if you're looking for a one-on-one plan, I can make your first free consultation appointment with Josephine.
That's great. I would love to hear from people if they feel more body positive.
For sure.
All right, everyone. Have a great day.